EA Sports, the company we all know and love. Well, some of us. The sports gaming company that's made plethora of sports games, from soccer to football to even boxing. You name it, they've done it. But them putting out so many different titles, you can say they've hit, you can also say they've missed on so many of these games. But one question that a lot of people ask about EA nowadays is, how are they innovating? How ambitious are they? How are they moving the gaming industry forward? And a lot of people will say they're just greedy as hell, looking at new and different ways just to take your money out of your pocket. But what if I told you in Madden 21, they actually did something new? So today, we're going to be looking at EA's most ambitious game mode, the mode that finally allowed them to say, no, this is not the same game, and take a look at what exactly happened to it. So like with any story, let's start from the beginning, because how can we know where we got to without knowing where we started? Now, 2015, a decade ago. It's crazy to think about this was 10 years ago when this whole thing kind of started. And we're not going to spend too much time in the year 2015, but this was a huge generational year, not for EA. Nah, it was because of NBA 2K. If you guys don't know, if you guys have been living under a rock during this time, or some of y'all weren't even born around this time maybe, or wasn't old enough to even play a game, 2015 was the year of 2K16. Yes, NBA 2K16. This was the game, the sports game that everybody and their mom was playing. And don't get this misunderstood here. Madden 16 was a great game in terms of Ultimate Team, probably one of the best years they had for Ultimate Team. That was a generational mode and year for them for that mode. But there was something that EA was missing and that they could not stand with 2K was their multiplayer mode in terms of the open world, in terms of player creation, my career, superstar aspect, and being able to play online with more than just 1v1. This was big for NBA 2K. It set it off for them. 2K16 is looked upon as the best year for NBA 2K in the past 10, 15 years. A lot of people would say NBA 2K16 is their favorite 2K. And it's up for debate. It really is. 2K17, 2K50 were also very good games during this time, but 2K16 was the one that really did put it out there and really made it explode to the world. With Madden NFL 16 receiving great praise in terms of gameplay, in terms of modes, and in terms of really just selling overall really well that year, EA knew they had to change something from Madden 17. Now we're in the year 2017, and we honestly seen a huge year from NBA 2K. Yep, the 2K franchise was on a crazy heater coming off of the year of NBA 2K17, which, I mean, everybody and they damn mama played. If you say you didn't play that game, you lying like hell, because everybody was on that game. Everybody knew the content creators and the way the game was set up and the way the park was and the way that the affiliations were and just everything about that game. In terms of my career, I mean, about everybody and their mama played it. Now, in terms of EA, well, EA knew they had to do something big to compete with 2K this year. They knew NBA 2K17 was going to do a lot of numbers, take over the sports gaming space. So with the release of their brand new game, Madden NFL 18 this year, EA went ahead and introduced a brand new mode, but under their Ultimate Team mode called MUT Squads, which was their Ultimate Team mode, but they had a sub mode in it that allowed you to play with more than one player or more than 1v1 in an online multiplayer environment. This was the first time this ever happened. There was no previous Madden game that allowed you to play more than 1v1 in an online head-to-head environment. So this was huge for EA. They knew this was going to be their way of kind of getting into the space of doing more than 1v1. This had to be hell in the cell for them to code also. Usually having 11 versus 11 and always having that same kind of concept and then changing to more than just 2 users in a single game. This was a lot for them. This was a huge step since about everybody and their mama was playing Ultimate Team already in the first place. Now, for those of you that were not there during this time, MUT Squads allowed you to bring your Ultimate Team squad and 2 of your buddies' Ultimate Team squads into a game, and it allowed y'all to pick roles such as offensive captain, defensive captain, head coach, different type of roles that control different type of aspects of y'all entire team. And this was a hit because once again, Ultimate Team at the time was booming, and this was a really good way just to play with a lot of your friends instead of just playing against them in 1v1 action. This mode was very well received, and I remember playing it back in the day. This mode was so fun because it was the first time we had ever seen something like this in Madden, and it was a hell of a time. I mean, the cars that they dropped that year, just all being able to play on the same team, just the communication and just the content and fun of how the game was, especially at that time, it was a hell of a time. There was simply nothing better than one of your homies catching a pick, and then you laying out a couple dudes, your homie doing a couple jigs, and then your homie taking that pick all the way back to the crib for a pick 6. And just like that, EA found the perfect way to introduce a new game mode without breaking the game and also making a lot of money from it, because Ultimate Team was a gold mine, and that was the start of something big. Now in the year 2018, this wasn't a big year for Madden because it kind of kept the game the same in terms of the modes and how the game was. Step away from Madden for just a second because I think this is really where we've seen a big shift in EA's mindset with the multiplayer, multi-user game modes. NBA Live 19. Now we're not gonna stay on this game for too long, but this game was lovely. I ain't even gonna cap. This game was insane for its time, and it was EA's true way of competing with NBA 2K in terms of basketball and in terms of a multiplayer 5v5 type of aspect, to where, once again, competed with NBA's 2K, you know, Park and My Career, where in NBA Live, you're able to make your own player and then take your player into online multiplayer 5v5 competitive games. And this was huge for EA at the time, and this really set a template for how EA was going to move in the future with their online multiplayer modes and in terms of career modes with Madden. Now we all know how this story ends with NBA Live 19. They got that shit up out of there. That shit got kicked to the curb. There was not another NBA Live game after this one, which I'm not gonna cap, it really hurt my heart. I wasn't a big NBA Live person at the time, but I did love some of the previous ones. In the past, NBA Live 19 wasn't my cup of tea, but once again, it was just because other games were out at the time, Madden, 2K, but NBA Live still had a place, and it should have deserved to have more games after it. And we've seen, with it being gone, where the competition has went in the basketball space. Absolutely fucking nowhere. So hopefully EA does bring NBA Live back one day. I don't think it's probably ever gonna happen, because actually a lot of, if not every developer that was working on NBA Live now works on Madden, and which is why you will see so many things were taken from this game and implemented in Madden in the future. But hopefully one day we see EA return to making basketball games. Fast forward to the year 2019, and as most of y'all know, this was a huge year for EA, coming off of Madden 19, which was kind of a bad year for Madden. It's really up to y'all whether you think that game was good or not. All I know is the shit was buggy as hell. But going into 2019, we got Madden 20, and I mean, this was probably the most controversial year for EA for their game in the past decade. This game was crazy. You talk about from the movement, from the new abilities that they added, and abilities were already a thing previous to Madden 20, but the way they did it in this game was the craziest thing you will ever see in your life. You talk about from Ultimate Team to the way that the cards were Eric Dickerson and Randy Moss, Moss 100. This game was literally a brain rot in a video game. Better I can explain it. This game was crazy. If you were there to experience it and you were there to play it, I understand NBA 2K20 was a really good game that a lot of people played, but you had to be there for Madden 20. Whether you thought it was good or whether you thought it was bad, this was a game you kind of had to just experience for yourself. Now, something big that also happened in Madden 20 was a new game mode. Something that a lot of people did not see coming, something that kind of came out of left field, that was made by a separate part of the Madden development team. It kind of brought a new kind of twist on the game. Superstar KO. Yes, this was a brand new game mode to Madden 20 that kind of wanted to kind of capitalize on just the arcade side of this game. How could this game become arcadey? How can this game just have a more fun and casual style to the game? And this was it. This new mode also brought in the 3v3 aspect that we had been seeing in Ultimate Team in MUT Squads. So EA thought, why not also bring on this 3v3 aspect to this mode? And let me be the first to tell you, this mode was an absolute hit. I love this game mode. It was a brand new thing. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people received this mode really well just because it was a new thing. It was something kind of new to play instead of it just being Ultimate Team, Ultimate Team, Ultimate Team. And for those of y'all that were not there to experience it, Superstar KO basically brought the new ability system that was introduced in Madden 20 and cranked it up to about 10,000. Essentially, you've seen people out there with X factors that stayed on the entire game, and the way the possessions worked, and just everything from the gameplay to the styles to the settings and everything, and the way that it played than regular core Madden. So this game mode was an absolute hit and opened up EA to bringing on another new game mode. Man, we finally made it to 2020, boys. The year of COVID, which was obviously the biggest thing this year, the biggest problem this year. But with all the COVID BS going around, the one thing that really saved this year was the gaming. Everybody being in the house, and we had a bunch of games and even new consoles to play on. The next gen consoles dropped this year. Miles Morales dropped this year. Last of Us Part 2 dropped this year. Fall Guys, Warzone, Among Us. So many things popped off with gaming this year. We've seen so many different creators and things and trends go off this year. And my personal favorite, my favorite thing about this year was Madden 21. Now, EA was coming off of kind of a shaky year, but still successful year of Madden 20. Once again, was a very volatile and very mixed review type of game. They needed something big to come off that success of that year and make sure they right their wrongs from the previous year. And on top of the next gen consoles, they were also pushing that promo of bringing in that next generation of gameplay. A lot of people will probably remember the trailer they dropped this year for the next gen consoles. That was a big rug pull because when we actually did receive Madden 21, the game was not like that on next gen at all, really. Ultimate Team this year was booming this year for Madden, but with how they did certain things this year, it did kind of receive mixed reviews, and Superstar Cred was much more of the same from the previous year, but a little bit worse. But like anything new, which was a big disappointment for the community, which a lot of people wondered, why did Superstar KO not get any additions or anything new in terms of content with Madden 21? Well, it was because EA brought out a brand new game mode once again called The Yard. Now, this mode was pretty much shadow dropped for this game because there was not any previous information about this game mode coming to Madden 21 that people have been hearing about. And I think that these leaks actually served worse for the mode than actually better, because with the leaks that did come out, essentially it said for this mode to be a full-on 6v6 user versus user football arcade type of mode that was being brand new brought into Madden 21, which automatically brought a lot of hype to this mode because we had never seen anything 6v6 user versus user in Madden ever. And now fast forward to a week before Madden NFL 21 was scheduled to release, EA drops a brand new trailer for the Yard mode. And this basically was the big first showcase of the mode and what it was basically gonna look like. Now, the trailer received mixed reviews because it did look good on one hand, but it also did kind of show that EA was focused on a new thing and a new project, which some people did not like because Madden's franchise was in a terrible state at the time. You've seen many crashes, you've seen people's franchise getting deleted, you've seen no innovation with franchise, especially around this time where EA was so heavy on Ultimate Team. They were making so much money. A franchise mode was really on the back burner during this time, so a brand new game mode was not welcomed by pretty much all of the sim community. And in this article EA put up, it showed an entire deep dive on what exactly this mode was going to be and what it was going to bring to the table. This article was made by JP Cullums, which we'll bring his name up in a little bit, but he was the lead producer on this mode, which actually means a lot. He went ahead and said on the article that the mode would not actually be full-on 6v6 all-user gameplay. And they actually said why exactly. You say on the article right here, why not go full 6v6 humans? Says right here, we tried all sorts of combinations when prototyping the Yard, from 7v7 all the way down to 3v3. We arrived at a maximum of 3 humans controlling 6 players because it struck a great balance between focusing on your avatar and making sure that as many players as possible get involved in every single play. And that statement right there caused even more controversy around this mode because a lot of people were already expecting this mode to have full-on user versus user, but instead we were met by, oh, we're gonna have CPUs in this mode still. Even with this controversy, a lot of people still love the idea of the mode and couldn't wait to get their hands on it. So August 14th comes around. EA did a lot of promo around this mode also. They did a lot in terms of making sure people knew about it, even making the goddamn Instagram page for the mode itself that they didn't even use after about a week of the game being out. But initial reactions to this game mode were pretty mixed, I would say. Across the community, you've seen people saying they loved it, seeing people say they hated it, seeing people say, what the hell is this? EA, why are we wasting money? And we also seen people saying they love this game mode, they play it every single day. Now, what I personally think was the biggest dictator of this mode was how the content creators did react to this mode. How did the big content creators react to it? How did the small content creators react to it? How well did the community of content creators post and receive this game mode? Like everything with EA, this was also pretty mixed in reactions where we seen big content creators from MMG, KKS, you name it, people who just got the game early and was on the EA Game Changer program, who were able to test out and play this game early and upload it. They said they loved it. They loved the arcade aspect of it, the animations, the way the game played, the movement, everything, the big play explosiveness that happened in this mode. They loved it from top to bottom. But then we also seen a lot of the Ultimate Team guys, from GutFox to Dub.W to a lot of these competitive or really good Madden players that did not receive this mode really well because they felt like it sucked. Overall, they felt like the game rules and the settings and the CPUs and the replayability of the mode was just pretty trash. But what could not be understated was the new content creators that came out from this mode. With this being a new game mode, we've seen a wide open alley for brand new content creators to come out, play this mode, upload it, and show how entertaining it is. In my opinion, there were three names that truly came up from this year of the yard that did not really have a following the year previous, and that was True Flocka. Y'all have seen him on YouTube, more of an Ultimate Team guy now. Prince JMG, y'all have seen him also, more of like a wide receiver DB guy, but also really started getting into it when the yard dropped. And then obviously your boy himself, Jurrisco. This was my first year of really blowing up in terms of YouTube because I really seen the potential that the mode had. There were other content creators that did upload this mode, especially in the career superstar space, but they already did have a following such as Chris Smooth, Darius P, Anton the Boss, Eli Mack, you name it. There were so many people on this mode, especially when it first came out. And our EA also struck gold. This mode also appealed to the 2K guys. Yes, the NBA 2K content creators, such as Flight React, such as Statistics. A lot of these guys who play NBA 2K, Park, and all that, oh, they love this mode. And honestly, they probably received it a lot better than the Madden content creators themselves. Now, for anybody who was living under a damn rock during this time and doesn't know exactly how the yard worked, especially during this year in Madden 21, this is just a quick rundown. Essentially, there was 5 positions you could choose: wide receiver, quarterback, running back, linebacker, and cornerback. And they also had 8 play styles or 8 player archetypes that you could choose from Josh Allen to Lamar Jackson to Julio Jones to CMC. And all these builds and player archetypes had player names such as Rackzilla, Fast Cat. I mean, you name it, these player styles and player archetypes were really, really good and were basically fitted toward a certain type of play style on how exactly you want to play. The position you choose was also player locked on both sides of the ball. So if you wanted to go quarterback, you had to be a strong safety. If you wanted to be a wide receiver, you had to go cornerback 1. If you wanted to be a halfback, you had to go outside linebacker. So yes, you were not able to go quarterback and cornerback on defense. And you would receive skill points to further upgrade your prototype until you were max overall. You were able to put abilities such as X factors and player core abilities on these players, and your height and weight was also locked to the player build that you did choose. Prototype came with special abilities and X factors that were unique to the build, but were also interchangeable to other prototypes. And also they had special modifiers, so where a quarterback, you were automatically able to throw better rather than if you were at running back and tried to throw the ball. Before you would hop into a game, you were met with multiple maps and different venues that you could choose from the Nike venue to the Green Bay Lambeau Elite venue to the Germany venue. Different type of game settings and game rules were varied on the venue that you played on, which brought a lot of replayability back to the mode because people like playing on different venues. You were able to fully customize your player from the hair to skin color to the drip, the shoulder pads, the arm sleeves, even the football pants. For the first time in Madden's franchise history, we were able to actually go out on the football field without even having football pants on. So this was a huge step in terms of customization. As you load into the game, you were able to pick the position you want to go and even pick the CPUs you would have on your team. And then once you got into the game, I mean, it was absolute craziness. The gameplay with this mode was probably the best thing about it because it was just so different. There's so much going on at one time instead of how it was with normal Madden. The game speed was fast as hell. The movement was so responsive and crazy. You were able to really get sticky and have highlight plays. The wild arcading mechanics from the one-timer catch where you're able to tap the ball in the air and someone else catch it. From the pitching, you were able to lateral the ball as many times as you want. You were able to throw behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, everything with this gameplay wasn't perfect, but it was fun as hell. Now, one thing that was super interesting about this first year of Madden 21 The Yard was there was a certain part of the community that actually wanted to play it a certain type of way where it was more competitive than how the casual player would play it. And what that meant was split city. When you would hop into these Madden 21 Yard games, you would be met by a play call screen, which was a little weird because, I mean, it's 6-on-6 football. Why are we doing a play call system like how you would see in normal Madden? But just because of how many users were on the field, how many players were on the field, they still had this play call system, and there were a plethora of plays you could choose from. But a certain group of the community, and I'm niggas, I ain't even gonna cap, we actually did only split city. And what this split city play was a play where it had the CPUs in the backfield. It would have the users at wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, which is normally where the users would go. And then you actually have the quarterback at user also. And what essentially this was on offense, you would block your center, your running back, and your slot player, and have it to where on defense, you would go goal line robber. Goal line robber was the all-out man press defense. And essentially at that point, it felt like it was 3-on-3. Even though the CPUs would get in your way and sack you here and there because they would blitz and come at you crazy, but for the most part, it felt like true 3-on-3 action. And this style of play would become the funnest way to play the yard and the way that people would do wagers and tourneys for months to come. And while we're on this topic, y'all let me know in the comments below, would y'all be interested if I did one last Madden 21 Yard tourney, since this was regarded as one of the best years for it? And with EA actually shutting down the servers for this game, let me know in the comments below. We can set it up and get it done for the community. So with all these different aspects and features collected all into one mode, it made Madden 21's The Yard the most prestigious and the most well-received version of this mode we had ever seen. The Yard was so good, it was actually the closest thing we had ever seen to NFL Street, which was a prestige franchise back in the day. And this is something that a lot of people missed about the old EA big games, was the whole arcade style of the game. With all the good and innovative things that this game mode brought, and with a lot of the community loving this mode, it was a lot of the community that did not like it, and there were some things that they did need to improve on for the next game. There were 3 big, huge problems that did plague this mode, and I remember even talking about what I want to see with the next version of this mode. And these 3 things don't even include that obviously there were dumbass CPUs in this mode that everybody did not want. But the 3 big things were, 1, that it was not connected to its career mode. Yes, the mode that literally has you make a online player creation from top to bottom was not actually connected to their career mode. It was a whole separate other game mode, which was insane from EA's part, but once again was not connected, which a lot of people want to see in the future. Number 2 was a competitive or just a ranked mode, something that kind of brought people to the mode and made it feel competitive and felt like you were playing for something, and you wasn't just playing just to play, you know. After a couple weeks of playing Madden 21 The Yard, a lot of people got bored of it. Even with the new venues, even with the new content they brought, there were still people who got bored of it because it simply did not have that competitive ranked, feel like, oh, I'm playing for something with this mode. And then for the third and last thing that everybody and their mama want to see from this mode in the future was a better build system. Something that 2K did so well with their NBA 2K Park or My Career mode, and honestly probably the best thing about that mode is their player build system. The way you can make different builds and archetypes and change every little nick and knack about your player was something that Madden had completely missed the mark on. Their player build system, their player archetype system was so basic, and you got a maxed out build in a day of playing it. That was just not the move for them. They had to make it more in depth, had to make it to where you can change everything from the speed to the excel to the zone coverage, man coverage. That was just completely missed on their part. They really did put themselves in a kind of a box where they really made it where it was just very cookie cutter where, oh, you put this towards this and it upgrades 5 things or that type of thing. And that was completely missed on their part because it just made it very basic and it made the mode feel like it was kind of rushed, in which it was. I actually had a lot of people actually tell me that this mode was actually made in less than a year. So if they would have actually taken a little bit more time to actually finish this mode, a lot of these things that were, missing from Madden 21's The Yard probably could have been in it and would have been even well more received than initially it was. But instead, EA had to make their profit. Now, as I bring up the topic of profit, because that's all EA knows and loves, they actually did not charge a single penny for this mode. Like their previous mode with Superstar KO, with this new mode also, they didn't charge a single dime. Ultimate Team was still their big money maker, and this new mode, The Yard, was kind of just a let's try it out and let's see what happens experiment. And guess what? It really did pay off for them because they had actually gear and drip that you can actually buy that a lot of people did indulge with. And I think the biggest reason why I love this game mode so much was because it was not paid to win. Just like with Superstar KO, that was a huge hit the year before. This mode was even better with more depth and brought more innovation without being a pay to win, which made them feel like they were doing this for the love of the game. And instead of treating this mode like Ultimate Team where they charge you at every single turn they can to get the success of the mode up, their way of judging success with this mode was how many people played it. It was truly how many people played it on a daily basis, months down the road, how many people interacted with this mode, and that was EA's way of showing, oh, this game was a success or a failure. And to make sure they have players keep coming back for this mode, they continue to drop updates and content for this mode the entire year. We've seen new venues drop. We've seen new ways to play. We've seen a bunch of different things that they did introduce to the mode throughout the year, even Play a Friend midway throughout the year, which once again brought people coming back to the mode and keep people engaged with it throughout the year to make sure the mode ended up giving them profit. EA even went out their way to do 2 invitational MCS tourneys to also promote this game mode. They did some invitational tourneys with some Ultimate Team players that don't even play the mode, don't even play it, but they went ahead and invited them to do some pro mode tourneys, which they did end up giving out money to the people who won, but once again, invitational only to once again further promo the mode. And doing all these things, EA did end up finding success with this new game mode, which did end up bringing it back for another year. Now in the following year, 2021, we got another year of the next-gen consoles under our belt. EA was pushing this next-gen console movement down our throat because they really wanted people to really change over to this next console, even though this next version of the game was not as fun and as user responsive previous version, the current gen Xbox One version of the game. It was just a big gameplay gap and how the both games played, and current gen just played better. So leading up to the release of Madden NFL 22, we had EA drop a lot of promises on us because, well, Madden 21 was a very, very, very bad year for franchise mode. This was the year where it kind of went trending on Twitter for essentially being neglected for the past couple of years, especially with them adding, once again, these new modes and new things to the game. The franchise community was fed up. So EA had a lot of things they had to strike on with Madden NFL 22, especially with franchise, but even with Ultimate Team, they had to keep it up. They had to keep their profits coming with Ultimate Team. And then finally, with their new and improved the yard mode, they had to bring it back even better than they did previously in the year before, because once again, it was a big success for that part of the community. So what we seen EA do was a big promise on bringing yard and the connected career mode together, and that's exactly what they did. For the first time, we seen the yard and face of the franchise be fully connected and have the exact same player build and player that you did use between both modes. You could upgrade it in face of the franchise, take it to yard, or take it to yard and use it in face of the franchise, which was a big step for them in the right direction. And we also seen EA promise a brand new ranked mode coming to the yard, which will have its own ranking system, its own leaderboards, and even more. So honestly, they was off to a hot start. And even Ultimate Team was slightly connected to the yard, because if you played a couple of the brand new live events that they did introduce to the mode, you actually got cards and things of that nature in Ultimate Team. So we actually seen 3 modes actually connecting and benefiting from each other for the first time we had ever seen, and really something that EA never actually did ever again since. So everything was looking very promising leading up to the release of Madden NFL 22, but there was actually a very, very big problem that happened as this game was about to release. Remember JP Cullums, the league producer that we said had a huge hand and big role on the yard, being even in the game and even helped out with Superstar Cred, which is probably one of his biggest accomplishments also? Yeah, EA actually got rid of him. EA actually ends up firing him in the development cycle leading up to Madden NFL 22. Now, once again, I cannot understate how much of a huge role this guy had on the yard itself. He was out there on socials. He was out there in Twitch chats, even my Twitch chat. He was out there actively acting on and watching content with the yard and everything surrounding it. He was about the only line of communication outside of Clint Oldenburg that we had to really get a voice in about the yard and what we want to see about the mode. One thing that a lot of the community always wanted me to do was get an interview with him, but I wasn't able to ever get it. But he did give me a lot of information about the yard and how it was overall made, telling us everything he wanted to see from the mode in the future, how hard it was working on the mode, how he didn't even get to finish the Madden 22 version of the mode before he did get fired from the company. And his vision for the mode was to never make it a competitive game mode, but to always keep it arcadey and kind of like a casual game mode that people just love to have fun playing. Now, it was never confirmed about what happened between the relationship of JP Cullums and EA Sports, but with him leaving the company, in my opinion, this exact moment was the downfall of the yard. So Madden 22 rolls around, ends up being released in August, and we seen huge problems off the rip. We seen that there was no ranked mode in the game at all. That was the biggest problem off the release of the game, as we had been promised this leading up to the game. It was promised that this mode would be out when the game would come out. It was never said, oh, it was going to be out months later or anything of that nature. So this was a big problem for all of the community. On top of that, we've seen multiple, and I mean a plethora of glitches and bugs with the mode, and just overall, it just wasn't what a lot of people expected the second version of this mode to be. You couldn't even choose your CPUs anymore, so the CPUs that we did have to deal with, because they did not take them out, we did have to deal with some crazy OP 7-foot Goliath CPUs that we had to deal with in about every single way you could play the game. And after about a month and a half of basically no content and the game basically drying up, which actually made a lot of people leave the game mode from being disappointed, we actually seen in October with a update that Madden did go ahead and release. Finally, the ranked mode did arrive. Now, looking back at it, this ranked mode was actually really good because it actually had so many different things that you could do with it in terms of how you did rank up and how you could basically gamble your ranked points and things of that nature. But the biggest problem with this new ranked mode that everybody was excited for, it was absolutely broken. We seen things like people couldn't even get into games, people black screening, people getting losses even though they won. We seen props and the things that they kind of like tried to do with it not even counting towards your RP. It was an absolute shit show, honestly. And once again, just like the first year of the yard, if EA was able to really take their time and make sure that this second version of the mode was actually what they wanted it to be, it actually probably been a lot better, but instead they had to rush it into this next game. And that was essentially the story of Madden 22's The Yard. It was essentially broken from top to bottom. The gameplay was pretty good. It was pretty similar to the previous year of Madden 21 in terms of gameplay mechanics, in terms of the movement, things of that nature. At least on current gen, the gameplay was still pretty fun, but just the overall mode and the content was absolutely disappointing. Didn't really bring, in terms of newness, in terms of venues and things of that nature, just did not stand head up with the previous year of the yard. A lot of people voiced their opinion on what they did not like about Madden 22, even me, myself. I made sure I was very adamant and very out loud about what I wanted to see in the next game of Madden 23. Leading up to the release of Madden NFL 23, we've seen a very, very glaring issue with how they promoted the yard. It was very obvious that the mode itself was starting to become a back burner for Face the Franchise because when they would put out an article that would talk about the yard leading up to the game coming out, it would just be on the back end of the Face the Franchise article, which was never really what we want to see because that obviously meant we weren't going to be seeing any big upgrades. We would see Ultimate Team get 30 pages long of upgrades and additions. Same with Franchise, get about 60 pages of upgrades and addition on what to look for with the game. And then when it came to Face the Franchise in the yard, it was about 1 page to Face the Franchise and half a page for the yard. And of course, this was clear foreshadowing about what we're about to see. There was no more yard dev or yard guy that we had a straight line of communication to. Really, it was the mystery guy that we had no clue had a hand in on the mode. So then with the release of Madden NFL 23, we got the yard. And of course, once again, it was connected to Face the Franchise. But big glaring issue, it really didn't change at all, and if anything, it really got worse from the year previous. Because in terms of a content standpoint, they really didn't have any new venues or any multiple venues that you could play on. And EA made another one of their biggest mistakes with this game because in the previous year in Madden 22, they tried this out where they basically had a new venue, but with this new venue, you could only play it against CPUs, and that was it. It was basically an offline CPU solo challenge, essentially what the hell it was. And guess what? They went even more, dove deeper into this hole in Madden 23 and did it multiple times. We were met with only one playable venue that we could play online in the ranked mode that, once again, did not see really any changes. But it did lose the prop feature, so if you wanted to kind of gamble your rank points, that was not a thing anymore. Still seeing the same 3v3 layout with the CPUs on the field that you still could not even draft, even if you wanted to try to kind of get some customization there. Nope, they still just gave you some random NFL plays that you had to use as your CPUs. Still seeing the same type of customization, same type of assets and drip that they just took from previous games and just copy and pasted over into Madden 23. You even still had the same helmets that everybody had to kind of wear. You couldn't even wear the speed flexes, the F7s. All that was still the same. Only new thing they truly introduced this year was the build system. So they did revamp the build system again this year, bringing kind of like a new take and kind of a more NBA Live type of aspect to it. And we've seen a lot more abilities and a lot more badges and a lot more other different stuff that you could kind of do with the builds that was once again very, very, very similar to NBA Live 19. But even with all that being said, we still see a huge boom of the player base and active users on the mode. We still seen the viewership go up and up and up. And I think, in my opinion, the big thing that saved this year of the game, the big thing that kind of saved it from just going absolutely downhill was the community. We've seen all the top players from the previous year of Madden 22, like Stick God, like my guy Bake ZD, like Showtime, like True Vic, Fitz, my guy Juan, and just about every single competitive player that was in the game previously brought their talents to the game this year, and this was their time to shine. We gave away over $1,000 in tournament winnings, and we've seen even competitive trash talk games go viral on YouTube here between me, Ruger the Homie, Black John Wick, you name it, y'all seen the videos, and that was truly what made this year the best thing because it was just a community-driven mode that we knew we loved playing every single day, even if the rest of the community didn't like it or just washed it away. The gameplay was about as balanced as if we had had ever seen for the yard. Even though you had seen the same builds, the same cornerback meta builds out there, the gameplay was about as balanced as we could have ever asked for the mode. And this was something else that EA really missed the mark on with this mode, was just making it more competitive over time. Yes, even though they want to start it as a arcade fun style of game mode, it should have gotten competitive over time, even more competitive, to the point where they had MCS tourneys just like how they had in Madden 21. Should have eventually got to the point where they had MCS tournaments for this mode in Madden 22 or even Madden 23, because honestly, it would have really promoted and showed how really good the mode is with good players being shown in these tournaments. But instead of doing that and updating the mode throughout the year, EA truly let this mode go down the wasteland because they did not update the mode or do anything spectacular with it as the year went on. So by the end of the year, it was really no one playing it outside the core community guys. So now the year of 2023, we get the release of Madden NFL 24. And a lot of people remember this year very, very vividly because leading up to this game, the hype and the promo around this game, we actually seen they were removing the yard. Yes, this was the exact moment, the exact year they actually removed the yard from the game. EA knew the previous year didn't go exactly how they wanted to. They knew they missed the mark on a bunch of different things and kind of left it pretty stale, and knew the community overall did not like it. They knew they had to do something big and different because this was actually a make or break year for the game. We've seen multiple articles saying EA need to do something to turn this thing around and get the community back on their side and get this basically a better reception on the game. And they knew they had to start with the career mode. And what they do? Revamp the entire thing, slash out face the franchise, slash out the yard, and bring in Superstar Mode, an old favorite. Then bringing back Superstar Mode was a huge warm welcome because this is something that people loved back in Madden 06, back in these older Maddens, back in the basically the 2000s. People loved the Superstar Mode. This was something that they needed to bring back, and they knew they had to hit it on the nail. So what did they do? They fully revamped the player system, fully revamped how the mode works and how the career mode works. They fully revamped the yard to make it to where it was 3v3 only. So no more CPUs, but it's only 3v3 on the field. So instead of 6v6, just 3v3 humans and that's it. And brought the smaller details like mini camp and things of that nature back into the mode. Now, most of the community actually loved this big change that they were doing, the Superstar Mode. And I mean, a lot of the community actually loved what they were doing here. But there was a small percentage of the community that said, nah, we rather the yard, we rather the full on 6v6. And some people just did not enjoy what they were trying to do with this mode in entirety. Now, looking back at it, it was a really good idea on EA's part to do this. But just like how we know EA, vision doesn't actually equate to their execution. And with the release of Madden NFL 24, we see Superstar Mode back into the Madden franchise, and guess what? People loved it. The player reception to the mode overall was really good. And the active current players playing the mode itself was the most we had ever seen with the mode or this type of career mode, yard, face the franchise included. This was the most amount of players we had ever been seeing playing it ever. But even with that being said, EA was not able to truly grasp with all the new players playing because the mode was buggy as hell. I mean, this mode was an absolute glitch fest. We literally seen bugs and glitches such as abilities missing from your player in every single game. I mean, people are literally not having any abilities and any X factors and still being a 99 overall, which essentially made your player play like absolute ass. Seeing like scoring glitches, extra point glitches, drip and gear glitches. I mean, there was so many glitches in this mode. And on top of that, literal missing content. They deadass had no player friend this entire year of Madden 24. Holy fuck, this was bad, EA. The simple fact that they did not have player friend this entire year of the game and they left glitches and bugs in the game the entire freaking year, it really just showed EA was doing more of the same stuff that they usually did in the past with the yard. And with EA doing these dumbass mistakes, what essentially happened was with Madden 24, the community truly left this game once it died out from ranked being basically boring as hell. So what that meant was there was no way to do specific matchmaking, so you actually matched up with a specific person every single time. So there was no way to do tournaments, no way to do wagers. The closest thing you could do was literally try to time up when you would queue into a game. And I ain't gonna cap, boys, that was the craziest shit I've ever seen, honestly, in a game mode of any video game. If you could tell me right now in the comments another game mode where you could not play with a specific person or against a specific person every single time, I mean, just let me know in the comments below. So that was fast forward in the present day. I mean, realistically, EA is not in the worst spot ever, only because the return of college football. Yes, College Football 25 recently released last year, and this was probably one of the best things they could have done, especially for Superstar mode in specific, because now you actually have the opportunity to take your player from college football into Madden, and it's only with this Superstar mode. And guess what? Madden's the only game you can do this with. There's no 2K game you can do this in. There's no FIFA game that you could do this in. Madden has now made it to where the only sports video game that you could take your player from collegiate to the professional level is Madden. And I think this is the saving grace for them right now. If they did not do this, I mean, they would be in the fucking trenches, honestly. To give them a little bit of credit, they did fix a good amount of glitches that were in the previous year of Madden 24, but still, Madden 25 Superstar still has not hit the nail on the coffin because there was still some things that were missing from the previous year in terms of gameplay mechanics, and there are some things in this game, like the goddamn broken tackle glitch, where if you have a running back build, you literally break every goddamn tackle on the field. What the hell is that, EA? So with certain things like that, that has literally strayed the game further from being a super fun game. And then on top of the fact that the rank system is still super boring, they did go ahead and uncap the leaderboard, so you can kind of just play to your heart desires and keep running up on the leaderboards, but still, once again, still doesn't have a lot of stuff to it. The rewards are pretty boring. And on top of that, the content itself, with the entire mode itself, with Superstar and Superstar Showdown, is still, once again, just overall boring, with about 1 or 2 videos you can play on the entire year. I mean, it's still just not where it needs to be. But I think the absolute worst thing they did this year with Madden 25 Superstar mode, something that they didn't even do last year, and honestly, they did a lot of good things this year. They did a lot of good things, but the absolute worst thing they done, and this is something that Yard had never did, was they do allow you to buy your build. And this was something I was very adamant on, especially from the jump, because we had already seen what it had done to NBA's 2K game, where you see VC has taken over that game and you actually can buy, and it's become so much part of the game. Instead of actually making the game better, now we're seeing EA literally go in the same exact direction, where you could buy everything from your attributes to your abilities to everything that is regarding your player, when originally back in the Yard, this was never a thing, and it gave the mode just the overall better reception from the community in terms of it being just a pay-to-win mode like Ultimate Team. Now, I don't know exactly if EA makes a lot of money from players buying builds and things of that nature, because honestly, I don't think they do, but they still went ahead and went with this route, and I still do not support it, and I have yet to buy anything with the build, and I wouldn't recommend any of y'all to do either, because it should be, if we're spending money, a lot of money on this mode, it should really return to the mode. It should make the mode better, but I don't think that's going to be the case at all. If anything, it'll probably make the mode worse, because we're just funding laziness. And I've already put out my wish list on what I want to see for Madden 26. I have the video probably somewhere on the screen, but I've already kind of voiced my opinion. It's very, very simple what EA needs to do for Madden 26. Obviously, they have to make it where it's more positions, because if they go another damn year where it is 5 positions, we need D-line, we need safety, we need all of that. If they go another year where just the same 5 positions, I mean, my nigga, they're gonna be in the fucking trenches again. And also, they have to do something about how many users are on the field. They have to try to get 4 or 5v5 try to get this up, because just having the same old 3v3 another year is really just getting stale at this point. And obviously they need to fix the glitches that keep occurring from year to year, but I mean, it's EA, so realistically saying them to fix the glitches and having no glitches in the next version or the next iteration of the game is really just lying to yourself, and it's probably not going to happen. And also, if y'all haven't been tapped into my videos, we also did talk about how a new actual game is actually being leaked and being worked on by EA, and they're actually going to be doing an open world, kind of like true NBA 2K style of game, where it's going to have an open world. You can walk around and have your own player and things of that nature. It's going to be across Madden, college football, FIFA, and yes, it'll be a whole separate game. So if you guys didn't hear about that, once again, we talked about that about last year, about in December, and once again, that's going to be coming very, very soon up the pipeline for EA. But also, we have ESG football dropping this year, boys. Yes, the game we've been talking about for the past couple of years now, that's made by a completely separate company that is aiming to truly get to that point of a open world football simulation football game. And I truly think they're going to do this correctly instead of how EA's been doing it and messing it up. I think ESG truly has the potential to hit this on the nail, because that's their sole vision for this game, is to capitalize on this community of the people who want to see an open world football game. I'm talking 11 versus 11 and 7v7 all user. Once again, your own player that you can walk around in, and just having truly good, competitive, balanced gameplay so that the game is fun while also being competitive at the same time. And after playing the ESG beta for a couple of months, I truly do think the creators of that game got something on their hands, and they have the potential to do it. But there it is, Jurrisco gang, the rise and fall of EA's most ambitious, innovative product. And y'all let me know in the comments below, where y'all think EA messed up the most at? Or was this mode just overhated and they actually hit it on the nail? Y'all let me know in the comments below, and let me know, do y'all think there's ever a chance EA can actually do this mode well and justice and do it right? And y'all let me know if y'all want to see more narrative or documentary content like this. So make sure y'all drop a like, comment, and subscribe if y'all messing with this content. But that's it for me, boys. Love y'all. See y'all boys in the next one. Peace.